London roads are getting worse. At least that's what it feels like to me, bro. You?
Amen.
Alright. Now, I had a little play with AI, and I wanted to actually fact check myself before we got into this episode and ask the question, are London roads actually deteriorating? So, we're going to look at this from multiple points of view, from increasing congestion, the decline in structural conditions, potholes, and just repair backlog in general. The infrequent road surfacing, like, there's always workmen on the road, but are they actually doing the work they need to be doing in that sense? The funding shortfalls that occur from that. And then the impact on every day-to-day users. Like I said, this originally started with the ideas around, hey, half the time the roads that I want to use are out of service or have some form of roadworks or some bloody inconvenience on it that stops you from using the road properly. So how much are we impacted? And finally, we're going to end with an outlook and some recommendations to actually fix the problem. Because we don't just want to say, hey, this is what's wrong with the roads. We actually want to look at what the solutions are. And as always, there's going to be a healthy dose of stories along the way, our own kind of experience with these dodgy roads. But the question has to be not only addressed, but also answered of how can we improve London's terrible roads that have been deteriorating for decades.
2,000 years.
So, let's actually go get into it and start finding out why London's roads are so bad. What's going on, beautiful people? This is the Perspective Chasers podcast. I'm your host, John.
And I'm a frustrated driver.
Bro, frustrated driver? To say the least. Like, the
Some
rate...
funny wordplay there about my golf stuff, but it's going to go over your head, but carry on.
True. I mean, bro, your driving's questionable in many senses, both on and off the friggin' course.
What do you mean off my driver is questionable off the course?
You drive an automatic.
It is comfy.
That's what they will say.
It is comfy.
Still.
I can still drive it like I stole it, G.
No, you drive it like a go-kart, but it's okay.
With purple pimp lighting on the interior and a seat that massages me, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Heated seats are good, but I do wish mine give me a little back rub as well.
Heated seat, massaging seat, heated steering wheel, I'm chilling.
Yeah, but we're
with my
getting off.
purple pimp lighting.
Alright, let's leave your purple pimp lighting for a second.
Someone give me a cane in the hat. Sorry.
How about you give me a did you know instead?
Oh. Did you know that the narrowest road in London is 0.6 metres wide? I can't remember the name of it. It's in Farringdon.
60 centimetres
It's in Farringdon
wide.
next to Herbal Hill. Can't remember the name of it, but I remember Herbal Hill because I found it funny. 0.6 metres wide.
What
are you driving on that?
That's 6, and I'm guessing that's a country road.
It's in Farringdon.
Yeah.
That's central London. That's city of London.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking...
It's near a certain old headquarters of ours.
Oh. Yeah.
That's central.
Is this a road for cars?
Technically drivable. Wouldn't be by a car. It's 0.6 metres wide.
Smart car? How wide's a smart car?
Even that, I don't think it's getting on that.
I don't know.
At its narrowest point, it's 0.6.
But did you remember when smart cars first come out? There was a thing about the French people throwing them in the not the Thames, but their canals and that.
People in the UK used to literally, like, people would go to bed and wake up next day and their smart car would be in the middle of the road because you could, like, lift it, you could pivot it and lift it.
Yeah.
But also, did you know that there's, like, over 9,000 miles of road collectively within Greater London?
That's not that much.
9,000 miles?
Hey, the Proclaimers would walk 500.
That's over 10 times the bottom to the top of the country, bro.
Yeah, but, bro, look how big the world is. Like,
Yeah, but relative to our country, 9,000 miles is a lot of road in the city. Not even the whole London. That's just Greater London.
Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah, alright, that's kind of a lot.
We're talking about roads in London. I don't know country roads anywhere else. Country roads are always bad anyways, man, but they're country roads. Take me home.
Look, we're just getting into this and we're getting distracted.
To a place.
Alright.
With smooth roads.
Bro, when you hit a good road, is there a better feeling? When the sun is shining, the tunes are up.
But there's good road and then there's the sound of your tyres on a good road, when it's just clean.
Sound of your tyres on a good road?
But there's certain roads that
There
like...
should be no sound. It should just be smooth sailing.
Yeah, but your car's always gonna make white noise. Like there's certain road where there's no potholes or stuff, but you still hear like a weird sound. Like M25 is a prime example.
Oh,
That weird sound that just sounds like a continuous tapping of like an inflated thing.
We will get into all of the points that I mentioned, I promise. But the M25, what the hell is going on with that at the minute?
The whole thing's a mess.
Bro, from, I think it's junction 5 to 7, they've dropped it down to 50 mile an hour.
It's going to get way worse, though.
Yeah.
Because with Heathrow having the third runway, they have to change the M25.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I rarely use it, so but please explain.
Well, the third runway would be on the M25.
Oh, damn.
So they're going to have to do, like, mad infrastructure to do that. It's mental. Anyway, different thing.
I definitely think there's a conspiracy theory here within these roads, but without further...
Well, let's not go down that road.
Yeah, without kind of further distraction...
See what I done? We're all day.
Yeah, I'm the dad and he's the one with the bad jokes. Right. So let's actually get onto this first point of the increase in congestion, right? Because we've all sat in ridiculous amounts of traffic.
That's the other thing. You know that on average, someone in London loses over 100 hours of their life to traffic a year?
I did know that. And I was literally just about to lead into that. You beep.
COVID factor.
Yeah, so...
But apparently it's rising again.
Well, it dropped in 2022 it was 97 hours in 2022, 99 hours in 2023, now 101 hours in 2024, probably 103 hours if it keeps at that trend by the end of 2025.
Stupid.
So, but genuinely, you spend over 4 days of your life stuck in traffic per year if you live in London. 4 days of your life. That is awful.
Wow.
I'm kind of... no, I'm not. I was going to say I'm kind of thinking to go cyclist, but no.
The chafe.
Just the effort alone is ridiculous.
The chafe alone.
So like traffic jams, they not only lengthen journey times, but they also contribute to stress, reduce the air quality, obviously pollution, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Freaking ULEZ and everything else, but the state of the roads are keeping us on them for longer. So what do you actually want? Do you want people off the road, or do you want to just charge them for being on it more, mate?
I mean, in some councils, you can get fined on the spot for idling, which is nuts.
Yeah. So this is the ridiculous thing. Like, people don't want to be sat in traffic. People want roads that work. So when we're sitting on roads that are congested, nobody's happy. And then, obviously, the only people that are happy are the ones that are making money off of it. Like, so when I once trained as a mechanic a long time ago now, but there was this kind of inside joke that garages and the kind of road surfacing companies had a kind of backhanded deal because the roads are terrible. So your tyres are getting shot, your rims are getting shot, your shocks are getting shot. So the amount of maintenance that you have to do on your car simply because of the caliber of poor roads, the amount you have to pay for parking in places, like... The tier system in it is so ridiculous. It is so unfair as well because a lot of the people with some of the older cars and that are people that have just brought a car and they just want something that's reliable and that's going to get them from A to B. They don't
100%.
want to be paying out for it every single month. Like,
oh yeah, the ultra low emissions zone was one of the dumbest things they ever done. All they've done was punish the poor, because their theory is it helps clean up the air because newer cars are more emission friendly. But anyone that lives within Greater London will probably have a newer car anyways.
And the thing is, anybody that can actually zoom out just sees that pollution is just kind of pushed off to the side. It's just a game of misdirects because that energy for the electric cars is still made through dirty means. 100%. It's not clean energy.
Nope, not yet.
Your Tesla is not running on a freaking wind farm energy or solar panel energy. It's running on bloody freaking, not nuclear,
fossil fuel.
That's the one.
Yeah, but I guess the theory behind that is that that's less intensive than the localized pollution of like gridlock traffic. But we've all been in gridlock traffic. It is noticeably different. It is to me anyways, because I got asthma. Like I can sometimes feel it. Like
100%. But
it's just a bit dirtier because everyone's engines are
the same sense. As soon as you get to the countryside, you can smell the manure in the air.
100%. But the air also feels a whole lot cleaner because there's way more space between exhausts, right? So your point is valid, but it's like that's a more globalized pollution, if that makes sense to me, anyways. But that's not the problem. Is, mate, if you live in Greater London, chances are you can afford payments on a newer car, whether it's outright or you're leasing. Chances are
I would disagree with that.
The stats show you're more likely to have a newer car in central London.
Yeah,
that's why this scheme was so stupid, because those on the fringes who literally pop in and out have older cars because they don't need them as much as people in central London. Well, to be fair, I'd say they need them more than people in central London. But it's just how it is. They normally have older cars. They just run for a longer period of time, and all it done was penalise them.
See, I think as well, and I guess we're kind of caught in this trap of like the kind of like finance agreements and this, that, and everything else. Which are, again, that. Bro, there are far more car showrooms around our areas than there are around the more kind of open areas and kind of countryside-y bits and that. So all of those people are kind of congregated in one area. Every 4 years you're offered a new car and this, that, and everything else. And then once you're in that cycle, it's so much easier to stay in there.
And it's largely down to balloon payments at the end of a bloody lease.
Bro, it's very much like the entrapment of an iPhone. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're so kind of ingrained in that, like, oh, well, my service plan's in that. I've got an MOT package. I've got this package, that package. It's just all in one kind of payment. And then you get caught up in it. But again, it takes away so much air of choice, because the next time that happens, how many times are you going to have a choice of a petrol car or a diesel car, or are you going to be forced to electric?
Yeah.
And then all of these systems and everything else, like I say, like these power plants that feed the electric cars, they still pollute themselves. So you're not even offsetting it, you're just moving it out of sight. And you think because it's out of sight, it's out of mind. Well, I'm sorry, it still has its effect.
Yeah, I agree.
But like that, I mean, that the pollution side of things is just one. Like, you could go on the amount of pollution, this, that, and everything else. Like, obviously, the amount that there's fossil fuels just burnt in the air and everything else isn't freaking great. Nobody wants to be breathing in carbon monoxide or sucking on somebody else's exhaust pipe. But the part that you kind of got to see who's genuinely at fault. You don't want to be on the roads any longer than you have to be. So if there's no congestion, if there's no traffic and all of that stuff, you're going to friggin' be out there. You're going to be stuck in it.
True.
Right, let's close this kind of congestion point out, because I think we rambled on a little bit, but is there anything you'd like to add about congestion before?
Yeah, I still think I have a feeling that a large amount of added congestion.
Bad drivers?
That doesn't help, but I also feel like there's still a lot of people who probably make journeys they don't necessarily need to in a car.
I'm guilty of that for sure.
100%. Like, not even throwing shade, but with you I fully understand the convenience of it, right? Like, to be able to make the trip that you make, you'd have to wake up a lot earlier, mobilize a lot earlier.
No. I mean, bro, I don't know which one of my journeys you're thinking of.
The primary one would be school runs, right?
But I'm thinking of like, no. I'm thinking like to the shop because I need something.
That's daft.
Like,
however, in your area, you could probably get away with it because the road that you're using not necessarily going to get congested. So it's like a main road or something like that, for example. But
little things, like even still, so like I've recently had roadworks near my house and that. So that little journey, there's been problems with like parking and everything else. So again, there's still knock on from it.
But I mean, to me, there's still a lot of people I think would make journeys that you could look at if you were looking at a very generalized way. You could look at it and go, you could do it a different way.
Oh, 100%.
Which would solve a ton of congestion problems.
Yeah.
The problem is it's not convenient for people to do that. Because I know this for a fact, right? And you'll understand this straight away when I say it. But the first kind of batch of people you would look at in rush hour, school run. Is it 100% a necessary thing to drive? As a parent, you will say, it is the most convenient way of doing that school run. I am not changing my ways. Which I'm not going to get at people for, right?
One sec. Because this is genuinely something that I experience on a frequent basis, right? So there are people park like absolutely a-holes near schools to drop their kids off. They can absolutely leave their cars at home, right? There are certain things in location and everything else. Some people, but even then, as far as I understand it anyway, how the school system works is you have to be within the borough of the school. So you've got to be somewhat local to the school. I understand as well, bro, look, again, we're talking about roads. So if the roads are bad, buses are affected too, other public transport's affected and everything else. But you can walk and da-da-da-da. But again, sometimes walking with kids,
but that's the
not
thing,
the
right?
best.
But if for every 10 cars that do a school run, 6 of those cars actually switch to public transport, you have way less cars on the road.
I would say, actually...
That's the idea behind public transport,
if we actually supported more community-focused thing, and those people actually halved their cars and each jumped in. So, all right.
Or a school bus or a carpool or something.
Perfect example, right? And this is what I used to do when I used to bump into people that were either going to go on the bus or, because they weren't freaking driving. But if I see somebody that was going to my daughter's school that was at the bus stop, I would honk them and pick them up as well and take, because I'm going anyway, so I'm going in that direction. So if more people done things like that, you could easily halve the cars, and you could easily halve the amount of people that are stopping in stupid places, because you'd have somebody being able to walk the kids the last bit. Do you know what I mean? So like that kind of codependency bit, I reckon that's where it would lead out. And that,
but there would be a lot of things like that I think would be like a real quick, you would see a quick noticeable drop. Is can we condense all of these journeys into smaller numbers of vehicles?
Yeah, especially
and that's the biggest. I think that's one of the biggest challenges you have on big city roads.
Although I said like I will pop up to the shop sometimes in the car or whatever else, I will often go walk to the supermarket with a backpack on my back and little one beside me, just because we need a couple of bits from the shop and I don't need to take the car.
Exactly.
So I don't do it all the time. Sometimes I'm like in absolute efficiency mode and that. But yeah, it is something where I am quite conscious of like, hey, you don't always need to take the car. I enjoy a walk and everything else.
I mean, if everyone was in like efficiency mode, you would tie things into one trip. You see what I'm saying? But that's a very idealistic world.
Yeah.
Because you could say, well, if I do the school run, I'll go do my big shop. Because that's one less journey I have to make in my car.
I do that sometimes though.
A sensible thing to do, right? If you've got the time.
Loop it on the way back.
But that makes sense. Because that's one less car journey you have to make. So that's one less vehicle on the road at a certain point. That eases congestion. But there are plenty of people out there who won't do that.
Yeah.
And then instead will go do the school run, come back, go shop, come back, school run, come back. So now they've made 3 journeys instead of 2, which means you added to the problem.
And it's taking you longer.
Yeah.
Right. So let's move into the second point of the declining structure, because I think,
juicy.
I think we've milked the congestion for. I mean, there's definitely more to it. Again, like,
are you saying that we're congesting the podcast?
A little bit.
I want to roll with these jokes now.
Definitely. One last point of like the kind of irony of that congestion is: have you ever been in like a skyrise near a motorway near clock off time, where you see like the roads go from empty to ramp full for like half an hour, and then they're empty again? Yeah. It just makes you think, ants.
100%.
But yeah.
100%.
Anyway, declining structural conditions. The roads are falling apart, people. Literally, as you watch them, they are falling apart. So, the weather's heating up. My car's already spazzing out. Traffic lights are spazzing out. The roads are going to begin to melt soon, and we're not even in June yet. I've not even started on reading my notes, so this is going to be a fun one.
And the thing about this is I have a different perspective on this than you do, because I travel around London more than you do. Oh, trust me, it's not a blessing. It's worse. It's worse in certain boroughs.
Oh, hard.
Because it's heavily affected by council funding, right? Lord have mercy. Lord.
I don't think he has any. Not by the state of our roads anyway.
Your borough is not great.
No.
Brent, North London? Nah. Them roads are like a war zone, bro. I swear, I question if it's weathering or if someone actually bombed the road.
Okay, do you want some stats on it?
Oh, here we go. Juicy.
Right. According to the Asphalt Industry Alliance, that sounds very official.
Asphalt Industry Alliance.
Alarm if you fancy. I think that's their abbreviation. In their 2025 survey, only 44% of London's local roads are now classified as good. So over half...
What classifies them as good?
we will get into that. Don't worry. Structural conditions such as good means 15 plus years of life remaining in them. Down from 50% in 2023, while 23% were classed as poor, less than 5 years of life left remaining in them. The abbreviation for them is AIA, the Asphalt...
I knew that straight away when you said Asphalt Industry Alliance.
Yeah, I don't know what the... it must have been their alarm survey that's confused me in the notes. But yeah, so over 56% of our roads are worse than bad, or bad or worse.
London specific, right? It's not surprising.
I mean...
It's getting worse. Shocking.
It's more shocking that 44% of them are deemed good. Like, which ones are these, and how can I kind of accommodate them into my journey?
It's shocking. It's absolutely shocking.
Like, bro, nearly 2/3 of local highway professionals, 65%, report that conditions have declined over the past year. A sentiment likely shared by everyday road users, again reported by AIA.
It's noticeable. I don't need surveys to tell me it's bad. I know it's bad. I drive on enough roads, often enough to know they're bad.
But this is the thing. So people like me that do kind of like local, regular journeys to the same places and that can be forgiven for thinking, it's just these roads that are bad or whatever else. But you zoom out, over half of them are subpar. To bring you in it.
There's roads I go down that have speed bumps on them, right?
Oh yeah, but I don't slow them. I mean, I do.
But the speed bumps have potholes in them, so now it's technically a double bump.
Oh,
make it make sense. Our speed bumps, you know the square bumps, the jarring ones.
Yeah.
That you have to either get perfectly aligned to your wheels or you're like, right? Yeah. I got a big wheelbase, so if I mistime it, it's like, bro. Imagine them. They're chipping. So it's like a chocolate bar with a dent in it, bro. But it's my road that I have to drive over.
Do you know why that happens, though? Because I think it's like when a guy sees a urinal cake in the toilet. You've just given him a target.
Well, it's probably people like me who just keep clipping that corner.
Yeah. Bro, you've given us a target to hit. So now I'm trying to line my wheels up every time. And every so often somebody misses. Yeah.
Maybe if you made them a touch smaller, you wouldn't have that problem.
No, because when they make them smaller, they make them steeper. And then you get the ones that like fucking take your breath away. Like... Bro, genuinely, I'm sure I've got a Whiplash Claymore 2 out there from a speed bump. And I was definitely 100% doing the exact speed of the road, and that speed bump...
exactly why you got Whiplash, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was just the harsh speed bump, man.
But no, the actual conditions of the roads are shocking. Like, I get the roads are going to naturally deteriorate, like weathering is obviously going to take an effect. Expansion when it's hot, contraction when it's cold, right? So it's naturally going to crack over years, right? But bro, it's bad.
But see, this is where
some of these potholes, it's bad when if you use a certain GPS system, they have an alert for potholes now.
Oh, we will get into potholes next. Don't worry,
that's how you know things are bad. When a GPS software has an alert for a pothole in the road, not just there's police up ahead or there's construction up ahead.
You was on such a roll with dad jokes. How did you go with police and not pole?
Jesus, but pothole alert. Like,
pothole, let's go.
What are we doing?
Yeah, bro, it really is bad. But it's not to bring out the AIA to keep kind of bringing them up or whatever else, but I'd question the actual quality of the asphalt that is being used, that is kind of being put down. Because, like I say, last year, we had sticky roads. The roads were melting. And it didn't get that hot, although some ports of London reported hotter weather than Barbados.
But they do that all year round. The thing is, though, it's not even just like the holes and like the actual damage to the roads, right? It's the state of like the markings and stuff.
Oh, bro, I literally was thinking that when you said it. I was like,
it's the state of the markings when they do roadworks and they bodge it back together, and you're like,
you had one job and you couldn't even move the leaves out the way to complete the line, or you painted over somebody's car.
There's a road that I go down, and it was under roadworks for years because they were doing like sewage works underneath it. So part of it was shot for years. But you would never know because it's just one really big lane. So you'd be forgiven for thinking, okay, just drive through the middle of this. And then there's people like me who come along going, get out of my way, bro. Get out of my way because I know this merges and you're in my way. But there's no marking to say, this is 2 lanes going into 1. I know common sense says, I can see this narrows up ahead. I should probably be a bit mindful. But how can I get angry at someone when there's nothing in the road that says, don't be a donut?
I know we've just left the kind of congestion part of this in the rear view, proverbially. But them keep taking lanes away from roads and reducing speed limits is really jarring.
I think also, using the road, I think cycle lanes, in general, good idea. Execution, poor.
100%.
Because that's taking capacity away from the roads, which are already struggling at capacity level. And also, the markings get worse. The condition of the road also gets worse.
While you're mentioning cyclists, bro, when you see 2 cyclists side by side pushing out the lane, encroaching on the road itself...
Perfectly legal, though. They changed the highway code. They're allowed to ride in tandem now. Which is dumb.
I hear that, but again, you're making the road more dangerous for everybody.
That's my point. But that's why it was a dumb rule. Because me and you could go out for a ride, and I could be right on the left side, you could be right next to me, holding up traffic, ain't nothing no one can tell you.
But with all due respect, me and you ride in tandem,
Well, we're taking the road up.
We're not getting down that 60 centimetre road you mentioned earlier.
No, we're taking the road up. But we're well within our rights.
But that's the really annoying part, yeah, is because...
Now, the annoying part is when you have a proper cycle lane that's like segmented off, and they still come into the actual road lane. Get out my... Now, this is mine.
Bro, a cycle lane has taken away the parking for my barbershop, and it jars me every single time I go.
All for Gary to use it to overtake a cyclist.
Bro, it is...
So now you're not even using your cycle lane that you want so bad. Get out my way, man.
Yeah. Bro, should we bring this, not back home, but should we bring this back into kind of line with the potholes?
Yeah, boy.
Right.
I want some stats on potholes.
You're gonna
I
get
want some
right?
diameters and depths of this, because potholes drive me to the depths of despair, mate.
Right, so potholes and repair backlogs, right? London's borough filled 1.9 million potholes across England and Wales in the last year. But a lack of long-term funding means new ones are almost forming as quickly as they're being fixed.
Makes sense. You know, there's some boroughs in the UK that are literally bankrupt.
Bro, it's literally like trying to eat soup in the rain. Yeah. You're never going to finish it.
But how are you meant to when you've got actual councils in the UK going bankrupt? You see that Birmingham Bin Strike thing?
Yeah, briefly. I didn't see too much into
I don't even know if that's been resolved yet. There's rubbish piling up in the streets, bro. It's a plague.
I don't know. But to quickly short tangent, as I went to the barbers today, our previous episode, you mentioned about the disposal of people's hair. So I actually asked my barber. They have the council come round to collect it, and they have to pay per bag, but he don't actually know what they do with it, whether it goes into landfill or incinerated.
I would imagine incineration.
But as far as he's aware, it just goes in the same van. He doesn't notice a different van pick it up.
But when they get to sorting it, they probably have to legally.
I think they did use a specific type of style of bag, but yeah, I had to ask him since I was there. I was like, hey, while I'm here, how do you get rid of my hair?
Followed up on a point there. Look at us go.
Hey. But yeah, to get back onto this point, right? Transport for London paid out over 2 million in potholes related compensations between 2021 and 2024.
Compensations?
Yeah, so when these craters of potholes that are left in the road damage your rims and everything else, you can actually claim on the council.
But that's not TfL. That's why I find that interesting, because I saw a stat that TfL literally only are responsible for 5% of the roads in London. Everything else is council related. TfL is like a governing body.
To be fair, it could be a fact check that GPT failed me, but...
TfL's in control of, Red Routes? That's their bag. There's not loads of those. There's enough of them, but not loads. Like the roads where you can't stop at any time.
I'm not sure, because again, especially for bus lanes and things like that, they're obviously going to be ones where they need that kind of express route or whatever else. So they're going to have higher priority repairs and this, that, and everything else. So maybe it is just in terms of transport for London. Again,
still massively interesting.
2 million ain't that much. That freaking cycle lane I was talking about supposedly costs 8 million to do or something, and it just caused nothing but inconvenience. So 2 million ain't actually that much. So it could be underscoring both the prevalence of surfacing defects and their importance on road users. Yeah, it literally just says compensation claims. So I'm not 100% on what type. Initially, I thought kind of damage claims, but it could
be anything really.
It's transport for London, so it could be many things. How many people walk across the road after getting out of a bus or whatever else and could potentially buckle in a pothole or whatever else? There's so many variations in terms of possibilities in what can happen on the roads and that. I mean that ties nicely into point 4 of just infrequent road surfaces or just
jarring.
I don't think the UK knows how to build a level pavement, let alone a solid road.
It's when you drive down the road and there's multicolored levels of multicolored shades of grey because they've done so many patchworks to it that you don't know what's the freshest they're doing.
Oh, what was that elephant called? There's a multicolored elephant book from if you was a 90s kids, you'll know about it or whatever else. But yeah, it's just patchwork roads.
But then when you talk about multi different services, when they do the dumb stuff to try and keep drivers awake, thinking of M4
rumble strips,
M4 flyover.
Bro, that just makes me think I've got a flat.
And I'm just like, I'm awake. Leave me alone, bruv. M25. When it does that, you have them strips, so it's just like, why are you graveling up my car? I'm just trying to go about my business.
Bro, I'm telling you.
Like, I have music playing. I'm good acoustically. I don't need this.
There's a conspiracy. They work hand in hand with the garages.
It would make sense
to destroy our cars, bro.
You know, I don't really care for conspiracies, but that one is one that I actually agree with. Like, I genuinely think they just like percussively battering my car until it falls apart.
Genuinely, I wonder
what the stats are on exhaust manifolds.
Right, I was genuinely going to tell you a story about an exhaust. Right, I once worked in a garage where I witnessed a guy go to put exhaust on a car. It was such a cheap and useless exhaust that it snapped while he was fitting it. He fitted it anyway and was like, yeah, they'll be back next week. And that's when I knew I cannot be a mechanic. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some good, honest, great mechanics out there. But there is also a lot of dishonest, wormy buggers that just want to scam you out of your money. And the roads are helping them.
Of course they are.
Like, literally, the driving up the road destroys your car half the time. You're shaking bolts out of it. The road surfaces are inconsistent and everything else. Like, the average intervals between a full road between a full road resurface in London is 44 years. That's longer than both of us have been alive.
Mad.
Alright? Far longer than the recommended 10 to 20 year cycle.
That's crazy. But then I think the other thing that doesn't help here as well, right, is there's so many systems in London specifically that are failing. That's not helping the roads. So think about it, right? You've got people who are constantly trying to resurface the roads and keep them maintained. So fix the holes, relay everything, keep it moving, right? So then they've got and then they've also got like constantly respray all the roads because obviously that wears over time, right? So they're constantly trying to keep the roads okay. But then as they're doing that, so Bill comes down and he goes, finally fixed all the potholes on this road, I can have a cup of tea. Time he's had that cup of tea, certain water companies have come along and dug it all up and gone, no, we need to fix a pipe underneath here, mate.
Or a gas company.
And he's just sitting there going, bruv, what's the point? So he goes down the other road and he goes, let me go check out this one, because I finished that last. Oh, they're laying broadband cable. What am I doing, bro? So he just moves. He goes, I've had enough of this. You've got so many utility companies as well just digging up everywhere because everything is failing. Because it's obviously aging, right? It's going to. You have to replace and renew and adapt.
And this is the thing, right?
So between water, gas, like things like internet, like cabling, electrical stuff, that is planned, that's there for months. Like the one I said that I was talking about where I go past quite often was like the super sewer thing. That must be 4 or 5 years that was down. Because when I drove past it and it was open, I was like, I never thought I'd see the day. I forgot what this looked like.
But see, this is the thing, right? So the actual surface of the road has such an impact in how your car performs from like a safety perspective. So
efficiency, economy.
There's meant to be a like skid resistance on the road. So now if you've got an uneven surface that has like chips and pots and cracks and everything else, your traction ain't there no more.
No, and it's also a massive hazard, bro, because when it rains, and it rains a lot here, everything's level when it's wet. Because it fills. And then you get trapped by that when you go through a puddle and it's woof, and you're like...
Bro,
I had that a while ago, I think it was last year. I was driving, just went through like a puddle casually, but the chunky sound I heard, bro, I'm pretty sure my car literally bottomed out.
I bottomed out before.
I thought I'd blown my tire, bro. I was like, oh my God.
If you think London main roads are bad, try going on like industrial estate roads where the HGVs go.
Yeah, they don't care.
They have some colossal potholes, and I had to. Do you know when you order something from like overseas and you've got to pick it up from the actual bloody store place, like it's some secret mission. I had to go to one of these like backwater frigging post offices to pick this up, and I nearly bottomed out my car just trying to frigging pick up a package because of the frigging chasm that was left in this road. But it is absolutely
the roads are barbaric.
Right, into the funding shortfalls of it, right? So despite over 20 million being spent on carriageway maintenance in England and Wales over the past decade, local authorities face 16.8 billion one-off backlog to bring roads up to ideal conditions. That's not even like top-notch. That's just ideal. Like, this is how they should be kind of thing. with London requiring 10 years of continuous, adequately funded work to clear its own maintenance backlog. 10 years of London roadworks to get things back to a adequate.
It doesn't surprise me, bro. These days, if I'm like, I drive over bridges a lot, bro. These days, if I get stuck at a lighter bridge, I feel the bridge shaking.
Yeah.
I mean, legit. And I'm like, I have visions that one day I'm just going to be like driving and next thing I'm going to be like, oh, I'm swimming.
Oh, damn. Yeah.
I'm going to have to practice that quick release seatbelt mechanism.
Bro, this is the thing. So, like, bro, the roads impact all of us in various ways. Whether you drive, cycle, walk, get public transport or whatever else, we need to commute and we need to get around. So when there's congestion, when there's backlog, when there's pollution, all of these things affect everybody. If you are somebody that walks your kids to the school and you are a little bit more environmentally conscious, but then you see 20 cars parked right outside the school, have you really saved your kid anything, or have you just exposed them to further carbon monoxide? Which, if you was actually in your car, your pollen filters might have actually caught a little bit of. Like, so then, how many times because everybody else is just like, it's somebody else's problem, it makes it everybody's problem.
I mean, it's a genuine question. Like, how the hell do you fund it? I mean, it's genuinely, like, I don't mean to be negative because we've done a politics episode recently, right? But you started to get a bit more of an idea about how funding works, right? Like through politics. Government, big boss, council's manager. That's what devolution is, right? So governments go to councils and go, here's your budget, mate. Have fun. On to the next one. That's your budget for the year. You got to run everything in your council with that. Roads fall under that. Yeah, so how do you manage that when it's like, it's all falling apart and I only can spend that?
Yeah, but then,
what do you do?
So I don't know how much truth there is to this, but there's this old thing of like, in kind of February, April time, you start to see a whole bunch of roadworks because they're trying to use up the end of their budget.
I hear you, but
because
I don't agree with that
if they go under it, supposedly it gets shrunk the next year, which
that's
would make
that's business. That's just fact.
It would make sense.
That's just fact.
So it does kind of think like, okay,
I know what you mean.
Maybe there is an air of truth to that.
But I know what you mean because I've said that for a long time. But to be honest with you, you see roadworks so often now that it's hard to buy that. It's just chronic year round now.
As well, like...
Chronic, bro. Bro, there was a point where, like, 3 bridges that I can take to get over to these parts where I spend most of my life now were all under roadworks.
Yeah.
So how am I meant to get around now when you're bottlenecking what is already a bottleneck because it separates south and north?
15-minute cities.
But, like, it's a real consistent thing, right? Bridges, literally, so many people cross bridges. Now you've bottlenecked the bottleneck. Mm-hmm. So what's going to happen? Well, you're going to force us all over. I don't know what that means. You're going to force us all over to another bridge that's already congested. So then I'm going to try to go for the next bridge. Oh, wait, no, we can't use that because it's so badly damaged that you can't drive over it anymore and we never will be able to again. Looking at you, Hammersmith. Now I'm just like, I'm giving up, bro. I'm calling in sick.
So 15-minute cities is kind of like a tinfoil hat tip to the idea that governments are trying to condense people into smaller areas and have everything within a commutable 15-minute distance of wherever somebody is.
That sounds nice, though.
To some people, but bro, you like to travel. Could you imagine never going 15 minutes? Bro, 15 minutes ain't far. You couldn't come to see me in 15 minutes.
But I'm not saying never. But I'm saying that if most of the things I had to do, i.e. work, etc., were in 15 minutes, I'm chilling because outside of that, it's my choice. So if I did want to come and drive and see you, I'm not going to get mad about it. It's not like a time-sensitive thing where it's like, oh no, I'm running late. It's like, yeah, bro. Yeah, what's up? Yeah, I'm running late, bro. Cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, to me, there's a difference.
That's why I said tinfoil hat tip, bro, because it's like, no, it's a non-negotiable. It's you stay in that 15-minute time zone.
That's never happened.
Like, have you ever seen the film In Time?
Obviously not, bro. I don't watch films. When will you learn this, bro? You've known me for years.
I mean, to be fair, I once lent you my John Wick, which I've never had back, so...
You don't need it anymore, bro. They don't exist, you know what I mean?
Bro, they're coming out with a new one, so... But I don't actually watch films that much.
One more reason why you don't need it, bro.
Yeah. But, what was I saying?
Welcome to the Continental.
Welcome to the jungle. We like fun and games.
Extreme Ricardo.
Bro, there's... I mean, we're far enough in now, we can derail.
Yeah.
Bro, everybody is affected by this. I wonder, where was I going with that? Because it's going to really annoy me unless I can get back onto that point now.
Don't know, but now you know how it feels, mate, when I'm making a genuine point about bridges and you keep going 15-minute cities.
Oh, that's actually what I was making the point on, like 15-minute cities. Thank you. So there's a conspiracy theory that they want everybody to live in these tiny little cities, and everything that you do and everything that you go to is within 15 minutes of your house. And again, like you just said, some parts of it seem nice. Bro, if everything only took me 15 minutes to get to, that was like the kind of important stuff, shopping, school run, work, and all of that stuff, cool. But if I can't leave it,
the thing is,
claustrophobia.
Take away the can't leave aspect, right? Let's get rid of the tinfoil hat nonsense. Because it's not going to happen. But if most people had everything in 15 minutes that they have to do, school runs, work, shopping, doctors, all that stuff, surely congestion would be better.
I don't know.
Because then people wouldn't have to hoof across the city all the time, so then your big roads wouldn't get like absolutely murdered all the time.
Yeah, but then you would need loads of kind of little pit stops of kind of like ferry and stuff. So imagine like how many supermarkets you would need for that to happen, how many petrol stations you would need for that to happen.
If you have less congestion, think about how many miles you can rack up in 15 minutes.
But then this is the thing with congestion. It's not about necessarily the amount of road users throughout the day. It's at one given time. Like we were saying earlier on about rush hour and that. Like 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, you know roads are going to be rammo. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 10 o'clock at night.
Bro, I'm seeing it more and more these days, man. When I drive through London. There's times where I'll be heading to work at like 1 in the afternoon thinking, chilling. And I start driving and I'm like, why is there so many people here?
That happened to me today.
Why are you here? And then I think, why am I here? Like, it's a 24-hour city. Don't get me wrong, like at certain times of night it is dead and it's a joy to drive.
Bro, there's always somebody on the road, genuinely.
Always someone on the road.
So, okay.
But the difference though is night and day.
I love it because now we're in weird enough that we can tangent gloriously, right?
You boot down the motorway at 9 in the morning and boot down one at 3 in the morning.
Right? So I work nights. Now, while I'm on my break, on my nights, I hear a horse trotting up the road at 4 in the morning.
I can't say what I want to say on the camera.
Tell me after. But every week when I'm in work, I hear that around 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, a horse comes trotting up. And I've not looked out the window to see if it's just an actual horse or it's a horse. I don't know what else it could be. It's a friggin' horse, right?
Someone's just trolling you. I love it.
Maybe. But I'm going to have to poke my head up now, for God's sake.
I mean, you do, because I need an answer now. And I'm kind of bummed that I have to wait.
Bro, I actually took a picture for you earlier on, relating to one of our other episodes of somebody that cling filmed their rear window because it was smashed out. And bro, it wasn't even a pretty job. It was they opened the boot and wrapped it round and round and round and round and closed the boot. It was so awful. Just wait until you see it. It's glorious.
Is that what I said to you about the person that I know that's literally like perspex their window now and refuses to get actual window because they're like, the perspex works, I'm not doing it.
Cling film works
I can't
too.
lie. I aspire to those levels of I don't care. It would annoy me too much. I'd be like, nah, I can't do that. I can't leave anything in my car. Well, they're just like, I can see out of it, innit? I'm just like,
No, bro, they couldn't see out of this one.
Oh no,
They used the whole rear
cling film and perspex, two separate entities.
100%.
Perspex is a bit more of a professional job. At least you can actually have visibility of it, and it's their passenger rear. Who cares? Cling film's another level of
over their entire rear window, bro.
They just literally wrapped it around and like through their boot to keep it secure.
I will show you. I've got the picture on my phone because I got somebody else to take the picture for me while I was driving.
That's fun.
Because yeah, it was just like, oh, I need to show somebody this other than the person that is sitting next to me quite clearly. But yeah, like, bro, the roads just impact us all in so many ways to get kind of semi back on topic. Like, whether it be...
What are we even talking about?
Just the roads in general. Bro, again, like... Bro, there are so many clunkers on the road that they're another thing that cause problems. Like, the things that you question, other than like a cheeky freaking 20 in the ashtray or whatever else, you question how the person passed their MOT. Because that freaking car is putting out a freaking cloud of black smoke, like the James Bond mobile.
Yeah, but that's the other thing. Like with ULEZ, classic cars are exempt. Like black alphabet reg. Which will be dirty cars. Because they're from like the 60s.
Dirty one.
They'll be from like the 60s.
Yeah, but they're a solid build, man.
But pollution-wise? You telling me they're going to be better than a 24-plate, 25-plate car?
Nah, true.
No. So why do they get... even like... Or say like, I don't know, a car that was like, say, 8 years old. You telling me that they're going to be more efficient and better for the environment? God, no. You can smell them. They stink.
I don't know, though. I like that smell of, like, rich petrol.
I'm asthmatic, bro. It hurts.
Oh, puny human, you.
I'm sensitive.
Oh, little baby sensitive.
I need fumes.
Right. Should we kind of try to end this out with some recommendations and actually look at what they could possibly do to fix these things?
Just bomb it and start again.
I mean, that would require so much more than 10 years of resurfacing and roadworks.
I reckon if they just blew it all up without killing people, obviously, they get it done a lot quicker because then they'd be like, it's completely gone, isn't it?
I think we should just all move. Just pick another country.
I think every so often around them, they should just completely obliterate a random street in the middle of the night. Because then they'll be like, we can't have that shot. We have to actually get this done, lads and ladies. And I reckon, when no one was there and everyone was sleeping, if someone just mash up Oxford Street to the point of beyond repair, right? How fast do you reckon they get it fixed?
He's not saying do that, by the way. Again,
I said don't hurt people or kill people. But like, if you took one of the big arterial roads and just destroyed it,
well, there's
like someone took jackhammers to the thing.
Well, no, bro. People are doing. Obviously, you can't do that. That's vandalism, right? So what people have actually started to do is they've started to fill them in with potted plants, which is so funny because again, But again, this is where we're going to get technical with it, and that always freaking doesn't go well. But so you need some kind of certification in order to be able to actually use asphalt and asphalt the roads or whatever else, but not to put a potted plant in there. So again, people will always find their loopholes and be like, well, now you have to come out and address it and da-da-da-da-da-da. So there's so many things in which, I think we just have to stop letting things slide. Like we kind of got into in the kind of political episode is, like, the voters need to keep the government accountable. The road users need to keep the freaking AIA and all of the other companies accountable.
I mean, it's such a generic thing, but what are you paying car tax for? What am I paying it for?
And while we're on the subject of what are we paying it for, insurance, go stuff yourself, stop increasing. That's for everybody.
I mean, that's just capitalism, sadly. Everything's increasing.
Yeah, but bro, in insurance, you're paying for in case shit happens.
As someone where shit has happened twice within the space of a year, kind of happy.
Right. But now, all of the years where nothing's happened, and you've still had to pay higher the next time?
Still probably save myself a bag.
Probably. But again, I think there is a far better way we could figure out insurance where the insurance companies ain't sitting back sipping freaking margaritas on a freaking beach somewhere at our expense.
Okay. I mean, the CEOs and stuff might be, but that's the same with every company. The actual people that work in insurance companies probably don't earn that well.
Hey, I didn't say insurance brokers. I said insurance companies.
They're not brokers, bro. They're just call center managers and whatnot.
Yeah, but ain't they classed as a broker? They're brokering the deals and selling it to the people, no?
Company does that, but they just read a script these days.
You're being pedantic.
It's not Wolf of Wall Street for insurance, homie.
Right. So let's get actually into some solutions and see how they could fix this, right? Instead of bickering.
Hire you.
Nah, that's not going to do no services. I'll just talk their ears off. Right. Long-term ring-fenced funding. Do you know what that means? Because I didn't the first time I read it.
If I'm not mistaken, it's funding that has to go into something because it has guarantees for it or something like that.
Rather than awarding councils a 1-year grant that must compete with schools, social care and other services, local highway budgets would be granted a ring-fenced or multi-year period, say 5 to 10 years, where they basically don't have to share. Why would that help?
Because it would be used on the actual roads, mate.
Well, stability, for one.
Yeah, there's no competition on the funds. They're guaranteed funds.
Yeah. So at the minute, like we were saying earlier on, with like each year they get a budget, you can't do no long-term planning. So if there was to actually have something ring-fenced for 5 to 10 years, councils can plan multi-year maintenance programs, sealing cracks and resurfacing before defects accelerate rather than...
That's a lot of the problem is it's political. You don't have enough time for actual change before it has to change again, like it gets moved on.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Councils are political.
Oh, 100%.
No, I mean, literally, you will have a Labour or a Conservative or Reform council.
Mm.
You have council laws.
Mm.
So it doesn't have long enough to actually do what it's meant to do, because there's not enough time in the cycle before people get annoyed by it and go, off you go.
But this is the thing now. Again, loosely defined, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
I think it's a perfect definition. I don't think it's loosely.
Well, I don't know if it would actually be the dictionary definition. That's why I said that. You know how the pedantic types get.
Be pedantic. Feast upon your pedantry.
Then you've got the efficiency side of things, right? So the bulk procurement of materials and longer contracts drive down unit costs. So obviously, we all know if you buy more, you get for less. So again, like if we're looking at that efficiency side of things, that's massively where we're failing. We're not getting things done quick enough. We're not getting things cheap enough. And we're not getting them done fast enough.
We should probably also, why don't they just have, like, this is very wild. Remember when we were talking about like nationalisation and all that stuff? That's when it comes back under government control. Why don't we have that for maintenance for roads? Because they're contracted. It's not that. There's a bag of people that need a job, right? There we go.
Get building the roads.
Bro, your job, that's you, bro. We're hiring you. We're going to give you the training. You work as part of the government's maintenance team for roads. That's your job. We're bringing it back under control.
I think this kind of ties into the kind of last point within that, which is like the accountability of it. Like, who's going to fix the damn problem? Somebody has to fix it. With dedicated funds, it's easier to track performance against clear long-term targets, e.g. reducing proportions of poor roads by X amount of 5 years. So when you've actually got that like performance thing and you can say, look, this is what we're going to do. Here's the people that are going to do it. It's going to take them X amount. You can actually lay out a plan of going like, oh, damn, we've got a year. Who's available in the next year? And that constant scramble of, oh, who's going to do it? Who's going to do it?
There's so many countries as well. Like I know there's some people that I like work with and I train. They never see roadworks. It's all done overnight.
Bro,
it's done to minimize inconvenience to your consumers, which is your people.
I think it was probably somewhere in China or Japan where they basically had like a mobile bridge where they would drive a lorry bridge basically, and the work would get done underneath the bridge and people would just drive straight over it. So there was no cones, there was no this, that, or whatever else. They literally brought a bridge, put it there, and was like, cool, we're working under it. So they ain't got to worry about the weather. They ain't got to worry about rushing, lighting. It's got all of the stuff in it. And then they can just crack on with the work and everything else. Like, bro, so much of our system is inefficient. Like, I know what you were saying about, like, just, like, bombing the roads and redoing them is
I was being very extreme.
I know.
My point behind that was, how quick would they act if it was totally destroyed?
I think we need a clean slate in terms of the procedural side of things. We could throw the book out and say, cool, we need to write a new book. Because the book that we're playing from, it's freaking Roman roads and pebbled streets and it's all pebble dash. Get rid of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, so then, like, you've got to implement the considerations of, like, these points. Like, so to get into that, like, central governments could allocate a fixed road maintenance grant to each borough based on network length, traffic volume, and current conditions. Like, there's genuine data that they could observe where they go, cool, we need a hierarchy between these boroughs. These are the busy boroughs. These are the quiet boroughs. These are the times in which they're busy, and these are the times in which they're quiet. And actually do some intentional planning around their roadworks. Look for those quieter times. Okay, cool. If we've got roadworks near school, can we time in near a half term so we don't actually slow down everybody that is on the roads in those times? Because again, it's not just people on the school run, it's people going to work at those times, people going this, that and everything else. Then you've got like the funds. Funds would be drawn down only for highway works with transparent reporting programs, processes and outcomes. It's like that accountability side of things. You can see who done what. If the road ain't been fixed, why hasn't it been fixed? Who hasn't done their job? What council hasn't been pulling their weight in that sense? And then a small initiative to top up could reward councils to actually improve road conditions. A pat on the back goes a long way. Now, don't get me wrong, everybody appreciates a paycheck. But man, a good data boy can go a long way for so many people. And it costs you nothing to say, hey, thank you for that smooth-ass journey I just had, because it was glorious not freaking headbanging unwillingly down the road. Right. They could, to get into the point two of it, they could front-load investment. What does that mean?
No idea.
Instead of spreading modest maintenance budgets equally across 10 years, front-loading, concentrate spending early in the program to tackle the worst roads first, draining the existing backlog rapidly. So again, it kind of touches on what I was saying about like tiering the boroughs. So who's worst? We'll deal with the worst problems first. And then because the worst places then go to the best, it kind of seems to fix up quicker because you're improving your average by taking away the extremes. Do you know what I mean? Or like bringing in the extremes closer together. And obviously why that helps, well, it's cost saving, delaying repairs that are often like the worst affected, have the worst outcomes. Do you know what I mean? Like they're more likely to cause crashes, they're more likely to cause slowdown in traffic, this, that, and everything else. So the kind of early intervention is always, for anything you do, is going to be cheaper. Whether you're talking about the roads, the actual car maintenance or whatever else, before it becomes a problem, that's when it's time to deal with it, not when it's a problem. And I think there's far too much of the kind of mentality towards the roads where we just wait for it to be a problem. They see the roads cracking or deteriorating and they're just like, yeah, it's not gone yet.
True.
So then a patchwork becomes a whole replacement. And then obviously the users benefit. Like road users, drivers, cyclists, buses, anybody that experiences the road will experience fewer delays, damages, like just everybody's kind of experience with the road and general respect of it would improve if it was of better quality. Like, people area is nice, people are far more likely to leave it that way. Whereas if an area is scruffy and rubbish anyway, what's one more bit of rubbish going to do? To most people, they don't care.
True.
So like just having that higher standard, I think makes people hold themselves to a higher standard. Have a bit more pride in yourself. Like, I see this thing before about Germany have a payment thing in where you can actually earn money for recycling. So even the homeless people pick up litter on the streets. People don't want to litter because litter has value. So the more you get people thinking like that and on that train of thought, the more it's going to be beneficial to you, no?
True.
So again, I think it's just that mindset shift and getting everybody to kind of respect the roads rather than be like, God, look at this awful thing that I just drove here on. Like, we do take them for granted to a great extent. But again, a lot of us pay our fair share in road taxes and everything else. We do what they ask and we want good roads in return and they're not delivering. So once that kind of, again, those two extremes get brought closer together, hopefully there should be a bit more harmony. Right. Implementation and consideration. I've got one more of these bad boys after this and then we'll wrap this up because this has gone on. I didn't think we'd talk about the roads for this long. I'm not going to lie. I don't know how far in we are now, but it's getting up there. The sun has gone out. Well, the sun's gone away. Right, anyway. Implementation and consideration. Identifying the most critical 10 to 20% of network amber and red rated roads via annual condition surveys. So again, like, a lot of this is just contextualizing the problem, which you have to do to understand any bloody problem that you have, whether it be the freaking roads or a personal problem in your life. Like, actually figure out what the problem is, where it is, and how bad it is. Like, if you're not actually checking in on the roads and seeing what their conditions are, like, bro, that 60 centimetre road needs to just be completely abolished. Why it hasn't been deleted and just turned into an alleyway or something makes no sense to me at this point. Like, we literally no cars fitting down there. So it's an obsolete road. Get rid of it. Like, it might just be one silly road, but it's still going to contribute to statistics. How many silly roads out there that lead nowhere or are just poorly kept and forgotten about that contribute to the bad statistics and everything else that could just easily be nipped in the butt and taken care of? And then you can allocate, say, 50 to 60% of the first 2 years' budget to those roads. Again, tapering the investment in later years so the blockage kind of shrinks over time. You kind of, again, deal with the worst stuff first that's going to cost you the most and then taper it off over time. So, again, although, say, if it did go on for 10 years, say the first 5 years, you'd see a lot of roadworks. But in the back end, they'd be heavily tapering down a lot quicker because it's less significant works that need to be carried out in that sense. Used a quick win treatment method of like surfacing and dressing with overlays on like mid-priority streets and arrest kind of deterioration while deeper works are planned. So again, instead of letting things kind of, it's not a problem yet, actually repair it before it is a proper problem. Because once it's a problem, well, now we've got to get a whole crew out and take 3 to 5 working days and slow everybody down.
True.
Instead of an afternoon of a guy skimming it with a bit of whatever. And then more frequent proactive resurfacing. Just, again, like, in our lifetime, they haven't hit that point of properly resurfacing. Like, 44 years, it's unacceptable. It should be 10 to 20 years. Like, there are cascading effects from that, from like stopping distance and this, that, and everything else that will affect the road users. Not just how it looks and this. Like, bro, just mention about like how it looks. Like, when you get like a dirty glare off of a road, that's a hazard in itself. When you're driving up the road, bearing in mind, like, my glasses automatically tint when they see an ounce of sunlight. But that glare that you get from, like, when we're having all 4 seasons in one day, and you've got, like, rain on the surface of the road and just instant glare, that, again, it creates a hazard. So all of these things, they need to actually be taken care of and not just, it will do, da-da-da. Because, again, the car crashes contribute to poor road surfacing. That's part of how the roads get damaged. So it all kind of, again, it's a snake eating its tail. One leads into the other. Like, if you're not looking after the roads, then people ain't going to want to look after them. And then that's going to lead to crashes and just disrespect in general. And it's just going to make the roads worse for everybody. And you're going to forever be chasing your tail.
True.
It's going to get out in front of yourself and just kind of use that preventative measures instead of just letting it go to complete meh. Basically. But yeah, we'll bring it all together. We've kind of combined these measures and shift London to a reactive fix as it fails, opposed to waiting for it to fail before taking action. Like, if we can get that kind of rapid response up in terms of how quick things that do go wrong get fixed, and how bad, how quickly the worst things get fixed, I think, again, you'll just close both ends of that spectrum and they'll meet, at least seemingly meet a lot quicker, opposed to just being like, the problems occur as quick as we can fix them. Is there any closing thoughts you have on the kind of roads and traffic conditions?
Nah, just don't think I'll ever see a day where I see a smooth road.
I mean, not in London. Not for long anyway.
Nah.
I might drive on it on Monday and it'll be smooth because they've done it, but then by Friday it's going to have a pothole in it again. Because again, the asphalt the caliber of it is just terrible. Okay, I don't know what research they do into it or whatever else, but they need to be using better material, because sticky roads, just because the sun is shining, isn't acceptable.
No, that's true.
But I think we better wrap this all up into a bloody seed. How the hell am I going to do that? Right, the seed for this episode is going to be, don't be, inactive in your approach to these problems. If you see something going wrong, whether it be in the roads or in your life in its immediate, actually take action. Letting these things kind of figure themselves out, or, somebody else will fix it, often ain't the answer. Often the answer is, get off your lazy butt and take some action. So whether that means writing to your local council and saying, hey, have you seen that pothole that looks like a freaking crater? Or, hey, like, I need to take action in this aspect of my life and actually get off my butt and stop being lazy. Like, genuinely look at the problems and see where you can hold yourself accountable in that sense. Take the action and, don't just let the problems pass you by, because eventually there'll be far more than a little speed bump. There'll be a chasm that's going to take out your will. So don't ignore it. All the best, and we'll catch you on the next one.